He identified himself in the past as a lefty human rights advocate. And how did he end up to make Aliyah? You are the first story I hear since the 7th of October that the 7th of October did something good.
If you're Jewish today, that means like your parents, your grandparents, everyone before that had to, at some point and along this line, go through pogroms, forced displacement, genocide, all these other things that the Jewish people have done or had done to them, let's say.
Real genocide, by the way.
The idea that like if you are now Jewish, all the decisions that your family would have to have made after these types of events, like after pogroms, after this, to say, yes, these horrible things happened, we still want to be Jewish.
That's what happened to you.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to my first podcast in English. My name is Madar Morag and our first guest is Steve Tsentserensky. He is a former video producer, copywriter, photographer, and he identified himself in the past as a lefty human rights advocate. And how did he end up to make Aliyah? Shalom, Steve.
Shalom.
Oh, I'm so excited you're here.
I think I'm maybe more excited.
But you know, I'm Dutch.
I know.
And the Dutchies, when they get excited, they have their Dutch accent. And then it becomes like this, you know, and when they interview.
So I'll know if it's going well if
yes,
we
exactly.
switch. Okay, if we get the accent going. Okay.
So, Steve, welcome.
Thank you.
It's fascinating, you know, your life story. That's why I invited you. You heard my introduction. I mean, you were left.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit progress.
I was pretty progressive, I would say. I was in those circles. I had those views. I mean, some of that, I mean, the ideas are not inherently bad. It's just these things end up getting co-opted, ultimately is what I find. So it could be a nice idea.
What is the idea?
For me, no, the idea of human rights and all these things is, I think everybody is on board with that. And it's the execution of how various groups sort of end up taking over these spaces. So in the US, there was let's say the Black Lives Matter movement in, I think it was around 2020.
Where did you live, in America?
I was at that point, it was COVID, so it was in New Jersey at that point. And I was for that. I'm like, oh, there's things that can be changed, should be changed. There's real grievances. And I was like, cool, this makes sense. And then you saw the thing shapeshift into something much more like, we need to destroy the whole system. We need to destroy, like, it went away from the thing it was trying to solve to just let's destroy and watch the whole thing burn kind of thing. And that's what I've noticed since sort of leaving the US. And I'd already been out of the US for a while, but I'd seen, particularly with October 7th, that's where I noticed, because I'd been told that was the case.
We are all equal and we have to love each other and people need our support. That's a great thing. But then you saw a shift.
Yeah, it was a shift that had already been described to me by my parents, like, because they're from the Soviet Union, so their views on things were inherently different than mine growing up in the US. And so they're like, no, this is not what you think it is. It's not the thing that you're rallying around. And I didn't get that until what happened here in Israel. And then I saw all these progressive groups immediately abandon.
Changing.
Yeah, well, they just abandoned the Jews immediately.
So we'll get there now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you're very active. You want to change the world to become a better place. Yes.
That's high praise, I think. Right.
And then the 7th of October happens when you are in New Jersey.
No, I'd moved out of the U.S. Not because I dislike the U.S. I like the U.S. But I was living in Croatia at that point in 2023. And my views had started to shift in general. Excuse me. My views had started to shift because I ended up living in a more conservative country that had more of a religious backbone with Catholicism. And I was like,
you were not living as a Jew?
No. There's no point in my life, even whilst I was getting like my bar mitzvah, where I was like excited about being Jewish. It was just like a thing. My parents like, you're Jewish. I'm like I never wore a Magen David until after everything.
A David Star.
Yeah.
So you did your bar mitzvah.
Did my bar mitzvah.
You made a deal with your parents.
They didn't make a deal.
You have to tell the viewers.
The deal was, you have to do this. We do not care about your opinions about it. The deal, you never have to set foot in a synagogue again if you do this. Even if I didn't take the deal, they're still going to force me to do the bar mitzvah.
So he said, I'm going to do bar mitzvah, but after my bar mitzvah, leave me alone.
Yeah, I never went back into a synagogue.
Never?
From 13 until basically a year and a half ago. Yeah. And so, but living in Croatia and being in a more conservative country, I realized that some of my views, like progressive views, like about conservatism and about like what it's like to be a bit more religious, I was like, maybe I was not right about these things. I liked living there. I liked how the society was structured, and it was opened my eyes to different things that I didn't think about or consider previously. I fully intended to be there long term. I didn't foresee leaving anytime. I was happy to live in Europe. I liked being there. And then what happened here is what sort of sparked this whole, why I live here now in Israel is a direct byproduct of October 7th.
You are the first story I hear since the 7th of October that the 7th of October did something good.
That was the first one?
Yes.
Wow.
You remember I told you?
Yeah. I didn't realize I remember it's the first one. Okay.
Yes. So we go back. You live in Croatia.
Yeah.
And the 7th of October happens.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is I'm pretty baffled at the online stuff that I'm seeing almost immediately. I'm seeing
friends of you?
People, yeah, acquaintances, friends, not necessarily friends, but people I definitely knew in real life, not just internet people. I was just seeing posts and commentary already blaming Israel.
At the 8th of October?
On the 7th already.
On the 7th
by the
itself?
Evening.
In the evening?
Yeah, I remember seeing like people I knew that had, Palestinian flags in their profiles and things like that, like immediately. And so like that was surprising. Like Israel hadn't retaliated yet. I saw the protests. There was already protests like very soon after. So for me, it was this weird moment of like, didn't Jews just get attacked? And everybody is like kind of weirdly not like completely up in arms about it. Or if they were, it went away very quickly. And
in Israel, we didn't get the whole picture. We didn't even know how many people were murdered, people were missing. We didn't know how many people were abducted. We were still very in the beginning of the whole big story.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
you were in shock, like seeing already Palestinian flags on your friends' profiles.
Yeah, it was jarring, and there was nothing that like again Israel hadn't responded in any way yet. It was still.
No, it took us 2 weeks.
Yeah, so it was this period. And I saw kind of what I mentioned earlier where like the world sort of shifted, and the thing that my parents had always told me about was like these movements get co-opted pretty quickly. And this one was based on like the oldest hatred and the anti-Semitism. So I saw people that already had like under their skin, like ready to go anti-Semitism. They just needed some excuse to.
Were you in shock?
I was surprised.
And did many people unfollow you on that moment when you placed an Israeli flag?
Yeah. Well, I went from being someone that never talked about Israel, Judaism, the Jewish people, Jewish history, to being like ultra Zionist. Now I share the same things I share now, which is only about Israel and only about Jewish history.
And what happened then?
Lost like 20% of people following me pretty quickly.
Okay, well, you don't want those followers anyway.
And anything I lost, the way I've seen it at least, is I haven't lost anything. I mean, I've gained an entire community of the Jewish people. Again, not that they abandoned me, I abandoned them. But like nothing was lost to me.
Yes.
It was a noticeable shift. I mean, how I was acting became a huge shift, but the idea of not talking about it and not embracing Judaism at that point felt silly. So two things happened at the same time.
Yes.
I was trying to have some conversations, and they ended all largely being political. And I'm like, who is somebody that I can talk to that's gonna like kind of get what I'm trying to say? Like a rabbi. I needed somebody, I think, that was like gonna understand the nuance of what I was saying, because it wasn't just like Jewish people got attacked. It's like this is a historical thing, and this is another domino in that sort of historical or link in that historical chain of like the attacks against Jewish people.
This hits you on a very deep level.
Yeah.
And so for sure you had a very meaningful conversation with him.
And I had prefaced it with like, I don't know how to do Jewish things. Like, he's like, come.
Can you tell me?
I told him, I was like, he invited me to come to a service, and I was like, I don't know how does that even work?
But why did you want to do like Jewish stuff?
It ended up becoming more of a clear thought later. This is the rationale that I didn't use at the time, but became what it was deep down, was that like if you're Jewish today, that means like your parents, your grandparents, everyone before that had to at some point and along this line go through pogroms, forced displacement, genocide, all these other things that the Jewish people have done or had done to them, let's say.
Real genocide, by the way.
Yeah, but not for this conversation.
Yes. No, it annoys me so much that people abuse everything we went through for their agenda.
Yeah, no, and that's become a noticeable thing as well. Also,
well, go on.
But the idea that like if you are now Jewish, all the decisions that your family would have to have made after these types of events, like after pogroms, after this, to say yes, these horrible things happened, we still want to be Jewish.
That's what happened to you.
Yeah.
Something else happened to you.
Yeah, it was.
You were like, wow, I'm Jewish.
Yeah, it was. And it became super important to me to be better at it. Like, and if I'm going to be like the only Jewish person that some people know, I'm like, I want to be good at it. I want to know.
Wow.
I'm not going to become like an Orthodox rabbi or something.
You never know.
It's
Rabbi
true.
Akiva.
That's what everyone told me.
He only
like
started to read Hebrew when he was 40.
Yeah. So maybe I'm 39 now, so maybe it'll.
Yes, you have a year to go.
No, the rabbi invited me to come over for a couple of Shabbats, which was great, and learned a lot more. From that experience, and then started going to the Chabad there because that was the other alternative. So sometimes Friday, sometimes Saturday, and it became very clear to me that living in Croatia wasn't really going to make sense long term anymore. Because then I'm like, I want to have a Jewish family. I want to have like.
That happened to you at that moment. You're like, wow, I want to have a Jewish partner. I want to raise
these
a
things
Jewish family.
Like sort of in rapid succession.
Wow.
Where it was like I was dating and then I stopped. It was like, it doesn't make any sense to me anymore.
Yes.
And then it was like, okay, probably doesn't make sense to live here anymore, which is weird because I would always tell people, no, I'm forever going to be over here. And then that's when I was like, you know what, I should, instead of like typing about Israel on the keyboard, I should go to Israel. So I went last March, 2024.
So then you said to your parents that, Mom, I'm leaving to Israel. And what did they say?
So they were like, first I told them I'm leaving Croatia.
Yes.
And then they're like,
have sometimes your parents to tell things in steps.
Yeah. Yeah. And so my mom was just like, yes.
She was like, yes.
Well, she thought my next phrase was going to be, I'm going to move to Florida because that's where my parents live. And I'm like, I'm not moving to Florida. And so I'm like, I'm gonna make Aliyah, move to Israel. And they were like, why? Like,
why make Aliyah? Are you crazy?
You know what's going on there? I'm like, I'm very aware of what's going on there. Yeah. No, so it was, their question was like, there's half of the world's Jews are in the U.S.
Yes.
Florida, New York, New Jersey,
why
Cleveland.
Not stay here?
They're like, you can be Jewish here.
Yeah.
There's no problem with it. You could, there's tons. You could find someone Jewish, date someone Jewish. Like, that's true. Obviously, that's true. But for me at the time, and still currently, it's like I didn't want to think about being Jewish. I didn't want it to be like a choice in my daily life. So like the way I'd seen Jewish life in the U.S. at least was, or everywhere really, it's like you have your regular space, which is where your 9 to 5 happens, where your interaction with that part of the world happens. Then you have like your Jewish space where it's like either revolving around the synagogue or around some Jewish group, but like it doesn't necessarily feel like it's aligned. Like it's all in one space together. And the only place that exists is Israel.
Yes.
Where
it's like being in the core.
Yeah.
I remember when I made Aliyah like 15 years ago, that I was standing in the supermarket and I paid for everything. And then the cashier said to me, Shabbat Shalom. And I was like, Shabbat Shalom. Oh, I want to hug you.
I had the same Shabbat Shalom moment. This is crazy. It's crazy because it's when I got a coffee. Like this was that previous March. They're like, ordered my coffee, like Shabbat Shalom. I'm like, one more, what?
Yeah, the first time, huh?
It was.
And then like, wow, it's something which is just part of life. So now you're here and you want to know what it means to be Jewish. You want to live a Jewish life?
Yeah. This is what I'm trying to like, where I am on this like spectrum, I guess, of, because I'm not Orthodox, obviously. I'm pretty secular. I I have much more belief than I probably ever did in life. And so that's a nice transition. And I think the nice thing is that like the only pressure being put on me is pressure that I put on myself. No one's like forcing me to be like, oh, you have to do it this way, to do it that way. And that's also nice, is that you have so many different ways to exist as a Jewish person in Israel, to do it in any particular kind of way that you'd want. Now
you only want to like discover how you want to live as a Jew in Israel.
Basically, yeah. And it's been, Tel Aviv turns out is like its own little country.
Yes.
Inside the country.
Yes. It's a bubble.
Yeah. It's which I love, but then you like there's more there's obviously more to the country. But for me, it's been a journey that, for lack of a better way of putting it, like I don't like that the thing that started it was something negative, but I think that there's been this whole thing I read in Jerusalem Post or Times of Israel, this October 8th Jew, which is people like me where something switched in that sense. And so that's if there's an upside or a silver lining, I would say it's that. And now you get the process now of discovering how you want to exist.
Yes. Isn't that amazing? What do you think is the biggest mistake the world has about Israel?
Geez, there's so many. The biggest mistake.
Pick only one. I know it's hard.
in terms of how they see Israel.
Yes.
I mean, it's like a caricature of evil that people have that is so profoundly terrible in there, and they've created this vision of the state in such a way that it baffles me. So I don't know if that's. I feel like it's the worst possible thing in some ways, because it's like when you're physically here and you see the mix of people that's here and you see that it's an incredibly diverse place. I mean, we all have the underpinning of being Jewish, but like because of the diaspora being from everywhere, we have probably one of the most multicultural countries in the world. And on top of that, it's not all Jewish. It's like 73% Jewish, 75, I can't remember the percent. So like it's a mix in that sense too. And so for people to vilify and create this genuinely caricature of like, this is the worst state in the region, and maybe not the region, but the world, is, I think, the hardest sort of pill to swallow in that sense, versus how the day-to-day life is. And when you interact with people, and none of that squares. And so to see a mountain of that kind of language come out about this country, you're just like, on what planet are you like getting this information?
How dumb can people be? And by the way, I asked you your bracelet because you have that yellow bracelet, and you showed me like that you were in the tunnels of the kotel, like the remains of the second and the first temple. And I said to you, "Oh, Steve, how was it for you?"
Yeah, it was fascinating to me, and it's something that the tour guide said that like made me think about this, was that they really tried to like erase us. Like the fact that you have to go to a tunnel tour to see the wall, basically the kotel, the majority of it, there's only 70 meters that are exposed. So to see the rest of it, it's been buried intentionally by empires and people that wanted to erase the Jewish connection. And you can try as much as you want, but it exists underneath everything.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't this a beautiful metaphor about your life? I mean, you could have erased everything in yourself and erasing your Jewish identity. And at the end, something happened and things got revealed.
Yeah.
And you almost erased yourself like from history, from your people. And then something big comes up, and then you see that everything comes up and it's there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how deep it is, because your Jewish spark is always there. And it doesn't matter how many layers, how many people try to raise it, how stories in our lives sometimes make another layer and another layer. It's there. Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, that's a good connection. I didn't consider that.
I'm so happy that you shared your story.
I'm happy that you gave me a chance to.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure you're going to inspire a lot of people who hear this conversation, because there are many Jews out there who are still in conflict with their identity. And I'm happy that you got awake on time.
Yeah.
Before you start a family, before choosing a woman, and at the end, I'm happy that you live in Israel because we need all the Jews here. So I wish you a lot of luck and a lot of success in your life, and for sure you're gonna be many times still at my Shabbat table.
I hope so.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Steve.
you.
Thank you for listening. Shalom.